okay, here's something that just happened. I was sitting here, and this man, whom I have seen before, asking for money, you know, the town beggar type guy, who looks like he is an addict of some kind, and he is not really in need of food, but he's asking you for money so that he can buy food, or that he can buy, you know, he was saying that he wanted a juice, and he wanted me to give him money. So he's doing that all over the place and asking people. So I was sitting there, so he sat next to me. He has some kind of confidence with me because I have not reacted with fear when I have seen him before. I have tried to not be afraid, and to try and see the man for genuinely as a man, you know, as not as a threat, or not as a. So there was some camaraderie between us, but I've never given him any money, and he knows that, I think. But he still comes and says the same lie, that can I give him some money for food? So when he said that, I kind of was friendly to him so that he could sit there for a while. So that created a situation of ease, that, you know, we can be sitting there together and there's no pressure, some kind of acceptance. So then, you know, because I said, if you want juice or food, then I'm sure you can get it at the bar. They'll give you something, you know. So trying to call his bluff to catch him in the lie, but of course, you know, he says no, they're not going to give me anything. So I said, well, people seem to be really selfish then, I said, and you know, he was not clicking, but eventually he repeated himself and he said, but don't you have any money for food? I said no, I don't have. I do have money, but I don't want to give you it. So what happened? He jumps and says, dude, you something like in Spanish, you know, like good on you, and you're the man, or something like that. He said, I'm always telling people that asking people for money, and they tell me that they don't have any, or they try and give me some excuse why they don't have it. You know, they just try and make some kind of argument, that rational argument, you know, that as to why they can't give any money to him. But dude, you finally told the truth. You finally, because he said, you know, I don't believe them, you know. So he implied that these people are lying to me, that they have money, that they don't have money when they actually do, and you're the first one who's told the truth, something like that. So that's what he said, you know, and he was really happy with me there, and left and then asked me for a cigarette, and since I don't smoke, then I said I don't have any, and he believed me, and he just went off to try and get cigarettes. So much for the food that he wanted, yeah. So that was a good example, I think, of something that happens all the time regarding altruism, and regarding, you know, taking and giving in a society. We, you know, there's more to it. You know, there's obviously is something about asking for things that create some obligation in people, and so in these interactions, these interactions show that you know, this man is more interested in honesty than in food. He was looking. He was, you know, happier that I told him the truth than he was from my giving him money. In a way, you can see his begging as a form of testing people. because he says do you have any money for food, and he obviously gives the impression very clearly that he's lying. So if people don't catch him on the lie, then he actually reproduces the lie, because he begins with a lie that is quite obvious, and if people react with another lie, then he can't really respect them because inside he knows that he's lying and that he really shows it very clearly. So if other people cannot see that or respond appropriately, then he can't really trust society in general, which is kind of true. You can't really trust what goes on in societies. So that's it for now. So I have another video that I did yesterday on the topic of mental illness. So this is kind of the same phenomenon. You wonder why, no matter where you go, even if two different places might have a completely different culture, and people might be completely different in terms of personalities and characters, and you always get the same phenomena. Like, for example, mental ill people with schizophrenia or with all these diagnoses are cross-cultural. They're at least from the perspective of the West, these are phenomena that happen everywhere. So why is that? Why do very different cultures not have a capacity to change the rate at which these different kind of people appear? And they're more or less the same. You get people diagnosed, they're about 1% of the population, and it happens everywhere that it is 1%. And then here, in this little place with a very small population, it is the same thing. 1% of the population get a diagnosis with X, Y, and Z. And then, same thing. You go to a normal public place, and you get the beggar doing his thing. And I bet you that there's a certain proportion of people in any place will be beggars of this kind. So, you wonder, why do societies seem to produce these kinds of people? So I think it is systemic. There's something about the way that societies work that produce these things, these social phenomena. So in this case of this man, you'll find that there's something psychologically happening in the interaction, that he comes and tells you, that he's quite aware, and these people are quite aware of what they look like and what the kind of feelings. Even if they're not aware, I believe that the purpose of this compulsion to ask people for money, even though you don't need the money, and he could very well get a life, he has a compulsion, and the compulsion is related to the morals that go on in the everyday, which is that if someone comes to you in need, you feel a moral duty to help him. So he's appealing to that, but at the same time, because he doesn't need to, and he's lying to you that he needs help, he is kind of making a statement implicitly about maybe these moral duties are kind of deceptive, and they're not really genuine, and they're not really honest, but we are using them to exploit other people. So this is such a basic phenomenon in the world that it is understandable, and it just triggers such intense emotions that it is understandable these kind of characters would come up to kind of denounce these things. So that's how I see it. It's really interesting to analyze how you yourself feel when these things happen. I find it really interesting. because you do wonder whether you should help or not, and whether this person is lying or not. There's always an ambivalence, and there's always a question in it that I've never felt in my life that I have been able to resolve that question, and now I'm beginning to feel that it is resolved. If you through an understanding of morality as deception.